Most flowers open when the sun rises, but there's an entire hidden garden that only wakes when darkness falls. Somewhere in a garden you've never visited, petals are beginning to unfurl right now in the fading light of dusk. These aren't the roses or tulips that greet the morning sun. These are the night bloomers, flowers with their own quiet logic, their own patient schedule, waiting for the world to grow dim before they reveal themselves. For centuries, gardeners and botanists have watched this slow, deliberate bloom with something close to wonder, puzzled by why nature would craft such flowers at all. The story of the moon garden really begins not with a date, but with a question that kept appearing in garden journals across the 18th century. Gardeners in England and Europe noticed something peculiar. Certain flowers, moonflowers, night-blooming jasmine, evening primrose, seemed almost to reject daylight. They'd remain closed through the brightest hours, then slowly, methodically, open as the sun touched the horizon. What the gardeners didn't yet understand, what nobody could have known without modern biology, was that these flowers were solving a problem of survival. The night bloomers had evolved not by accident, but by necessity. In the hot, dry climates where many of them originated, opening during the day meant certain death. The heat would wilt them within hours. The sun would scorch their delicate structures. But the cool, humid night, that was sanctuary. Around the turn of the 19th century, botanists began mapping which insects came out at night, and that's when the deeper logic revealed itself. Moths, beetles, and nocturnal insects were the only pollinators active after dark. The flowers had timed their bloom not to the sun, but to their visitors. They'd evolved to open when the creatures they depended on were awake. It was a conversation written in petals and pollen, happening every single night. The moonflower is perhaps the most dramatic of these night bloomers. Its name comes from its appearance, a flower so white, so luminous in darkness, that it seems to glow like a small moon against the black sky. But what makes it remarkable isn't just its color. It blooms on a precise schedule. As dusk settles, you can actually watch it open, not over hours, but over minutes. The petals unfurl with visible, patient movement. The night-blooming jasmine carries a different magic. Its flowers are small, easily overlooked in daylight, pale, and almost insignificant. But when the sun sets, something extraordinary happens. The flower releases a scent so powerful, so intoxicating, that it fills an entire garden. That fragrance is the flower's language. It's calling to the moths and night-flying insects that will carry its pollen. The visual beauty is secondary. The scent is everything. Evening primrose, another classic night bloomer, opens with such precision that Victorian gardeners used it as a living clock. In certain regions, the flowers would open at almost the exact same moment each evening. Observers could set their pocket watches by the bloom. It was nature operating with the regularity of a Swiss mechanism, and nobody could explain why. The flower simply knew. Some internal rhythm, some ancient timing system, kept it perfectly punctual. What gardeners of that era didn't know was that these flowers were responding to temperature. As the sun dipped lower, the air temperature would drop by a few degrees. That subtle shift was the signal. The flower's cells would respond, pressure would build in the stem, and the petals would open. It wasn't magic. It was chemistry. But knowing the mechanism doesn't diminish the wonder of watching it happen. The night-blooming cereus is perhaps the most theatrical of all nocturnal flowers. It blooms only once or twice a year, and only at night. The flower is massive, sometimes 8 inches across, with petals of cream and gold, and a center that seems almost luminous. Gardeners who have planted it often gather on the nights they know it will bloom, watching and waiting in the darkness for the show to begin. Some describe it as the most beautiful flower they've ever seen. But there's a melancholy to the night-blooming cereus and to many of these flowers. They open in darkness when most humans are asleep or indoors. Their greatest beauty is revealed to an audience that rarely sees it. The flowers bloom whether anyone is watching or not. They don't need observers. They're not performing for us. They're simply following the rhythm they've evolved over millennia, opening for the insects that depend on them, asking nothing of the human world. Creating a moon garden has become a quiet hobby for some gardeners, planting these night bloomers deliberately, arranging them so that when darkness falls, the garden transforms. It becomes a space for evening walks, for quiet contemplation. Some people plant them near windows so they can see the blooms from inside as they're winding down for sleep. The garden becomes part of the rhythm of rest, a visual reminder that the world continues its work after we've stopped noticing. Night-blooming stalk releases a fragrance so sweet and penetrating that a single plant can perfume an entire courtyard. Angel's trumpet, another nocturnal bloomer, hangs its trumpet-shaped flowers downward, perfectly designed to catch the attention of the moths that visit them. Each flower has evolved not just to open at night, but to open in a way that makes sense to its specific pollinator. The choreography is intricate. It's been rehearsed for thousands of years. There are around 200 species of flowers that bloom primarily or exclusively at night. 200 different solutions to the problem of survival in darkness. 200 different reasons why flowers decided the day was too harsh, too bright, too dry. Some open for just a few hours. Others stay open through the entire night and close again at dawn. The diversity is staggering when you stop to think about it. The night-blooming water lily is perhaps the most ethereal of all these flowers. It floats on dark water, opening only after sunset, its petals ranging from pale pink to deep purple. In some cultures, it carries spiritual significance, a flower that belongs to the realm of dreams and sleep. To see one in full bloom is to witness something that seems to exist between worlds. The lily knows nothing of our symbolism, of course. It simply opens when the temperature drops and the insects emerge. If you've ever walked through a garden at dusk and caught a sudden, unexpected fragrance, something sweet and almost intoxicating that seemed to appear from nowhere, you may have encountered a night bloomer. The experience is often disorienting. In daylight, you'd seen nothing. You'd walked past the same spot that morning and noticed nothing remarkable. But as darkness fell, the garden revealed a secret it had been keeping all day. The slow bloom of the moon garden teaches us something about patience and timing. These flowers don't rush. They don't compete with the frantic energy of daytime blooms. They follow their own schedule, one that's been written into their biology over millions of years. They open when the world is quiet, when the noise has died down, when darkness has made space for something subtle and beautiful to emerge. In a world that's always rushing, always demanding immediacy, the night bloomer offers a different rhythm. As you settle into sleep tonight, you might imagine a garden somewhere in darkness, petals slowly unfurling, fragrances rising into the cool night air. The flowers are doing their work whether anyone watches or not. They're opening for the moths, for the beetles, for the insects that share their nocturnal world. They're following a rhythm older than human civilization, a patient, persistent bloom that asks nothing of us except, perhaps, to remember that there is beauty in darkness too. Subscribe to find more slow, gentle journeys through nature's quietest wonders. There's a new one waiting for you each week.